Alright guys, this is my Rapid Shot Monk, and as you can see it does a casual 1.18 million DPS, so yeah, it's pretty good. You could set this up on a Witch Hunter or a Gemling or whatever you want. It just works better on a Monk because it's really hard to get all the Spirit, and Monk just has that broken ascendancy, so you get a bunch of free Spirit. But yeah, there's some kind of goofy stuff going on with this skill. It feels really clunky, but there's a weird little strat you can use, and I kind of talked about this in another video where I talked about Wind Blast on my Chayula Monk. But you can basically like run around with Rapid Shot and just kind of like tap the button, and you can still move at like almost full speed, and you can keep your heat up while you're doing it. So you can kind of run around the map while you're shooting at like almost full speed, and then you can still keep your heat up. And yeah, I mean, this feels really good with Blink, so that's why I'm running it with Blink. But yeah, you can't get Blink if you're like running it on like a Gemling or like a Witch Hunter or anything else, or like a Pathfinder or anything like that. So yeah, I just opted for the Monk because the Ascendancy is like disgusting. But it kills bosses pretty fast. It's pretty solid. You just go in, you can swap, you just switch off your Grim Feast, switch on your Cast on Shock, and then you can kind of just delete the bosses like that. I don't even bother to switch off Fork. Like, you could switch Fork off your Rapid Shot and you could kill the bosses faster. And I mean, you'll have no problem doing like max tier Zest and stuff with this. It does it totally fine. I did like a damage test with it, and I didn't even use I didn't use emergency reload just so I could test raw damage. And I only set this thing up for like, man, like I don't know, like 10 divines. Like, this was really cheap, right? Like, I barely spent anything on this. Like, most of this stuff I just like threw together with junk in my stash that I kind of had laying around. I bought the armor for like 100 exalted orbs, and I bought the crossbow for literally 1 divine, and it was on the market for a month. So this wasn't like a crossbow that like was like super sought after or anything. This crossbow was on the market for like a whole month, right? And I still only paid 1 divine for it. I didn't even negotiate with the guy. Like, I probably could have, you know, got him down to like 100 exalted orbs or something because it was in his stash for 28 days. But yeah, see, like at this tier 4 Zest, I'm not using any emergency reload. If you don't know what emergency reload is, I can explain it after. But even a tier 4 Zest, like 10 divine budget, emergency reload, not even being used, deletes the boss just fine with just raw damage. So yeah, it's pretty disgusting, right? Like, even unbuffed, it works really well. But I'll give you guys a breakdown to show you how it works. How this works is you stack up these little stacks of heat while you're using Rapid Shot. You can see them there at the bottom of the screen. And as that stacks up to 26 is the max stacks that I have right now. But as that stacks up, you're increasing your damage, right? So to keep your damage at full when you're running through maps or whatever is you just tap the button, right? So as long as you're like running and tapping the button, you can keep your stacks, as you can see, like almost full. Now, I've talked about this in the past. Like, I had a similar trick on my Chayula Monk with Wind Blast. If you tap Wind Blast, it kind of does the same thing. But if you're curious how that works, you could always go back and see it there as well. But as long as you're tapping the button while you run around, you can stay at max heat and run around. So like, you could all, like, I'm running mobility on this because I like having mobility if I'm holding the trigger down, but you can move even faster by just tapping it. So there's max heat, and you just tap, run full speed. Otherwise you walk at sort of this semi-slow pace even with mobility, right? But the tap strat works really good, so I would definitely recommend that. But so talking about gear here, this is super important. This is like the most important thing, and I think a lot of people don't understand this. So how you scale your damage with this is you just stack elemental damage, because Rapid Shot converts 60% of your physical damage to fire damage. Now the problem with that is you're not converting very much damage, right? So it's better to just stack elemental damage and then get one of these crossbows that says increased elemental damage with attacks. And then of course crit chance is really nice. Like, I bought this crossbow for nothing. I set this up for really cheap. I just kind of had a few items laying around. And I'm giving away a bunch of stuff for this character. So if you want it, just let me know. I'm gonna dump a bunch of this stuff. So if you want some stuff for this character, just throw a comment down below. But just for comparison's sake, like, this crossbow right here is complete trash, right? Like, I would scrap this crossbow. If anybody wants this crossbow, just let me know. I'm happy to give it to them. But like this is an example of like what good crossbow would look like, right? So 140% elemental damage plus two types of flat elemental. It's got a little bit of cold on there from the corruption, and then it's socketed with a couple of elemental damage with attacks. And then it's also got attack speed. So like this is actually a really good crossbow, right? Just like this one also is like a really good crossbow. Now this one has crit, and because I'm running crit, it's better. If you're not running crit, this would be better. So depending on not or whether or not you're running crit, that's going to be your better option. If you're running crit, this is your better option, right? And then if you are running crit, you should use the soul cores that do crit damage bonus. If you're not running crit, you're going to want to use the increased elemental damage with attacks, right? Because it's really broken. So how this is just set up is I'll take you through these skills really quick. So rapid shots just set up with mobility, primal armament, fresh clip, martial tempo, and fork. Now you could drop mobility if you're just using the tap strat all the time, but it just feels nice. I get lazy. I don't like to tap the button all the time. So sometimes I like to do this where I just kind of walk around and hold down the button like a lazy person. But for bosses, you just switch in close combat. So you just take close combat and slap it in there, right? And then there's 25% more damage. Now keep in mind that wasn't on the tooltip. Like it shows 1.18 million, but then there's also 25% more damage coming from here that's not on your tooltip, right? So there's actually more damage there. But running through maps, you want fork because a projectile hits and then it forks off and hits everyone else. But yeah, I was just using this as like a place to stash extra gems up there. That's why they're all up there. But yeah, so you just swap close combat for fork if you're fighting like a really big boss. Otherwise, you just kind of leave it, right? But yeah, that's how those skill gems are set up: mobility, primal armor, fresh clip, martial tempo, fork, and just rapid shot, obviously. And I got a level 21. But so cast on shock with Eye of Winter, impetus, and any energy retention is what I've been running. It works totally fine. You don't really have mana issues with this setup, which is kind of nice. And Wind Dancer, Blind, Wind Wave, Maim, emergency reload with persistence, premeditation, and murderous intent. Now this is what I was talking about earlier during that gest. Is I didn't use the emergency reload just because I wanted to test the flat damage, right? I didn't want the emergency reload to mess it up. But if I used emergency reload, you're gonna get 30% more damage. Plus use persistence, you make it last a little longer. It says for 6 seconds. You add persistence, it lasts a little longer. And then premeditation gives you another 15% more. So there's 45% more damage that you have access to if you need it, right? So, and then the Culling Strike is just nice. And then I've got Grim Feast on here, Clarity, Precision, Herald of Thunder. Now, the goofy thing about this is like I have the Herald chain set up on this, but the Herald's chain on this character anyway because I have so much elemental damage. So even if I take these off, the Heralds still pop and chain off each other anyway. So I don't know how Grinding Gear is going to balance that. I guess we'll see. But as it sits right now, these things still chain off each other, which is kind of crazy. So then I got Herald of Ash with Fire Mastery, and Blink with Ingenuity. So like that's all I'm running on this. Like this is really super straightforward. It's just a machine gun build. You just straight up machine gun everything down. It's super fun. But yeah, I'll go into a little more details on exactly everything else that I'm running here, and then the skill tree as well. All right, so as far as the skill tree goes on this and the equipment, the reason I set it up on Monk is because this node is really turbo broken. Just because it gives you a bunch of free spirit for nothing, which is kind of insane. But yeah, for equipment, I'm just running like the Hands of Wisdom in action. Like if these get nerfed, this build's still gonna work totally fine. It's not even based around this. You're not stacking intelligence or anything on this, so it works totally fine without this. And I just got an Ingenuity again, just like a cheap crappy one. It's like a 71%. I think I bought this for like 3 divines or something. And then I just have these boots I stole off another character. Rings with flat and fire. The percentage damage on rings is really nice, and it seems to stack with rapid shot really well. Then I just had this amulet again. I bought this amulet for like nothing. The crit chance on the amulet's really good, and then some energy shield, obviously. I anointed sand in the eyes on it, so I'll talk about that later. Like, there's some better ones you could slap on your amulet that would work better. I stole this helmet off my Chalula monk, but I think I paid 1 divine for this. It wasn't very expensive either. And then this armor, I think I bought for like 100 exalted orbs or something. It was really cheap, so
Bought that as well. And then I just had this ring that I stole off another character, but flat, and then a little bit of boost of lightning damage. This would probably be stronger if this was a fire damage ring, but I needed the strength and the int to run all the equipment and the spells and stuff. So the attributes were really nice. So that's why I was using that. But anyways, how the skill tree is set up is basically just stacked as much crit as possible. You could do this without stacking crit, but so yeah, I just came down here. Like this is how the ascendancy tree is set up. So if you need to see it, it's just like that, right? Just grab all these ones. This Sunder My Enemies is a really broken node too, but then just grab the extra damage, which is nice. But yeah, I came down here, grabbed all the skill speed, I grabbed the Step Like Mist, grabbed the Essence of Mountain, grabbed the Essence of Storm, grabbed all this crit, grabbed all this crit, then come up here, grabbed all this crit right here. So there's all that crit, you grab that, you go in here, you grab all of this, and then you come up here, and then you dip down here, and then I grabbed all of these. Now, like, I didn't put this in Path of Building or anything, so this is, like, not even remotely optimized, right? So you could probably make a bunch of changes. Like, I can see a change right here. Like, I didn't even realize I had an extra point sitting here. Like, I could probably take this point and move it up to here, and I bet you that would give me more damage. Yeah, what do you know, it would too. So, I mean, there's just one example of, like, I didn't even bother to optimize anything. So, but yeah, I just grabbed this against the darkness diamond with like fire and cold. And these are pretty cheap because nobody really wants them. I think this one, most of what I spent on this build, I just spent on jewels. Like I bought this thing for like 4 divines, and then I bought a megalomaniac for 4 divines, and like I think that was all I bought for this. Everything else was just kind of stuff that I pillaged off other characters and threw together. But even the stuff that I pillaged off other characters wasn't very expensive, right? So, and then I came up here. I'm just running crappy jewels. Like, imagine if you had good jewels, you'd be doing so much more damage. I don't have an adorned diamond on this. I have none of that stuff. And then I just came down here and grabbed chaos inoculation. I came up here and I grabbed patient barrier. If I had one more point, I would put it there. Like, I would probably move that one from down here to up there, and then that's going to give me a bunch more damage, right? But so yeah, I came down here, grabbed careful assassin. Oh, now the thing about this is that's nice is like I'm running energy shield with chaos inoculation just because I didn't have any chaos res, but like you could drop this and this build's gonna work totally fine. Like it might even work better without the CI on, because like you have access to all these evasion and energy shield nodes right here. Then when you come down here, because I came in here to grab Eternal Youth, you could grab all of this too, right? So even if you just grabbed like these and came down here and then grabbed all these, like you could swap this over to evasion and energy shield. You don't have to just do energy shield, right? But I mean, you could drop some damage because you don't really need more damage on this. Like you could drop some damage if you need more extra energy shield. Like there's more right there by that crit. If you need more stun threshold, you could grab all this. You could also grab all this. So like if you're having stun problems, like there's problem solutions right here and up here, and energy shield. If you want more energy shield and less damage, you could just grab more energy shield. Like you could do a weapon swap maybe and like run more energy shield for mapping, and then like swap the energy shield off for like bosses and just do more raw damage. Like that's probably like optimized. I didn't bother to do that, but yeah, if you want to just swap energy shield to evasion, you could do the evasion nodes here and drop the energy shield nodes, right? So take these energy shield nodes from up top, and then, you know, just use them here and down here, right? And then I just have another crappy jewel. Like I didn't get like crazy jewels for this. Like these jewels were just cheap junk. And then Throat Seeker, I grabbed this for more crit damage. Again, just another kind of mediocre jewel, some attack speed, some projectile damage. Grabbed the Herald stuff right here. So I grabbed all that. I came down here, grabbed all this crit because I'm just stacking as much crit as I can. Came down here. Then I grabbed this Megalomaniac. Again, like most of what I spent on this, I spent on this one jewel. This one jewel is like 4 divines. So between that and this other Time Lost Diamond, that was basically my entire budget for this build, was just those 2 jewels. That's all I bought for this. And then I got Killer Instinct right here. And I came down here and I also got Crushing Verdict. So like if you couldn't get these on a Megalomaniac, you could anoint either one of those and that would be fine. You could also anoint Blurred Motion if you want a cheap one. This is decent for cheap, so there's nothing wrong with that. Also gives you little attributes, which is nice. I anointed Sand in the Eyes because again, it's also really cheap. So I just anointed that and it works fine. But yeah, I'll go over the annoyance afterwards. Anyways, after this crit stuff, I just came down here, put that Megalomaniac in there, grabbed all this skill speed right here, came up here, I grabbed this elemental damage in this jewel slot, and then I just threw this extra, this emerald again, just like crappy jewels that I kind of had laying in my stash. And then I used this. This is probably not even optimal as controlled metamorphosis. I dropped this in here because I was initially running this. I was running evasion armor, and then I was running the beast skin, but then I switched to CI, and I just never bothered to change this. Like, you could probably improve this a lot. I grabbed dexterity because I need the attributes. I grabbed Falcon Technique, and then I grabbed this movement speed stuff. And then I also grabbed this Maiming Strike. Now, if I hadn't actually had the proper size of controlled metamorphosis, I could have grabbed this also. Like, I have one that's a medium large ring. If you had one with a large ring, you could just grab this too, right? This unhindered, which is like really juicy. It's a really good node. But this is just what I had in my stash. That's why I threw it in here. So I tossed it in here just because that's what I had. So it was fine. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how the whole skill tree is set up. It's really simple. And again, like if you were to run this on any other character, you'd probably like if you were to start as like a gemling or like a witch hunter, you'd probably just path down. Maybe like grab this stuff, the attribute stuff, grab this, and then just work your way up and around. And if you didn't want to run crit, you could just like stack elemental stuff, like this elemental stuff. Come up here, grab the skill speed, do the same kind of pattern, right, all the way up. You could do the same thing with like a gemling, right? And then you could just kind of come down here and grab these. So yeah, I mean it worked fine that way too. It just monk's like really, really turbo OP because you get all the free spirit. But yeah, another thing that you might be able to ignore, like this instant reload, I honestly didn't find that I needed this. Like your clip is so big with rapid shot that you don't really like hardly ever reload. Even when you do reload, like to me that doesn't seem like it takes a long time, right? And then of course you still have emergency reload, so if you run out, you can just hit the button and get it back instantly, right? So I don't know. I don't know if it's even worth it. I think reload is bait on crossbows, honestly, if you just have like a lot of attack speed. Oh, there's a goofy thing with this skill too, is you got to make sure that you don't get, where is it, over how many attacks per second? 22.73 attacks per second. So if you don't get over that, you got to kind of try and stay around 25 because it seems like when you get close to 30, there's this weird like stutter glitch that happens with this. Maybe they'll patch it later, but basically it like does this when you're trying to shoot. So even if you're holding down the button, it does this weird like broken glitch and the skill doesn't work. So you just have to make sure that you keep your rapid shot like around 25 shots per second because otherwise it doesn't work, right? It's really stupid. So you just have to be really careful about. But yeah, this is basically how the skill tree is set up. Reloading didn't seem to be a problem. As far as like annoyance, if you want to do anoint things that are better, like this is a really good node. Like I considered anointing this on my amulet, but I just used the other one, Sand in the Eyes, because the attack speed speeds up your reload speed as well, I think. So it just felt better to have that. But this is a really good one. There's also this one up here that's really good. But I mean, this one's expensive, right? So if you wanted to spend a little more, this one's really juicy. So that would be a really good one. Yeah, between that one and maybe this one down here. Yeah, I think those would probably be your best ones out of everything. But yeah, then also these, like I said, blurred motion would be fine. Sand in the Eyes is totally fine. This one down here works good. Yeah, and then Crushing Verdict over here is obviously really good. Like I got it on the Megalomaniac, right? But yeah, that one's really good as well. But that is pretty much the breakdown. That's sort of how it all works. If you wanted to replicate it, it was really cheap to set up and it works really good, super effective. Again, like you don't need to run CI on this. Like you could go to just running evasion and energy shield. It might honestly be even better. Like before I swapped to CI, I had 3500 energy shield on this setup with evasion at like 75%. So I had like a 5000 HP pool plus 75% evasion. And then I had Wind Dancer on top of that. So it was even really strong before I swapped it over. But I just swapped it over because I didn't have any chaos resistance. So yeah, either way would work good, honestly. But that's basically how it works. anyways, I got a bunch of extra stuff for this character, so if you want the stuff, just let me know. Like I was gonna trash this crossbow, but if you want it, you can have it. And I'm gonna give away this one too, and then like some of the pieces that I don't need to put back on my other characters, like I'm gonna get rid of those also. So if you want the stuff, just throw a comment down below. Also, if you like and subscribe, it'll boost this video up in the algorithm, so it'll make this the easier to find build. So when someone goes and looks for how to build this character, it'll be a lot easier if they can find one that actually works. Because you see a lot of crappy builds out there. They don't give you good information. The people don't know what they're talking about. They're not setting things up properly. They don't give you a good breakdown of the skill tree. They're running all these crappy nodes that don't make sense. But yeah, if you want to help other people find this, just like it, throw a subscription my way. This channel's not monetized or anything. I'm just sharing this to help people out. And if you want the stuff, just let me know, and I'll post the stuff for you every time I'm done with a character. Like so far, I've done a bunch of them. If you're curious about how some other characters might work, I did a Titan and a Monk, and I've done a bunch of characters to try and help people out if they're kind of struggling with setting characters up. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time when I'm done with my next character.